Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at page 22, and then we're going to look back at our text that we just read, and we are going to find similarities and differences between these two, from these two texts. So I'm going to go back and look at this one. Okay, so here's the page you're going to have. So it says, we will now discuss the similarities and differences. Page 22, Georgia versus George and the Massacre in King Street. A similarity is what was the same about both texts. A difference is what is different about both texts. Watch this video to see an example. Okay, that's the video you're watching right now. In the chart below, reread both of the texts and write down what is similar and different in both of them. I want at least 5 in each column. So there's a lot of similarities and differences between page 22 and the article we just read. So let's go back, and I want to read page 22 really quick. All right, page 22 of George versus George. King George was sure that certain gentlemen who pretend to be patriots in Massachusetts were no more than criminals, so he sent a fleet of warships to Boston to make them behave. 700 soldiers wearing fancy uniforms soon paraded up Boston streets with their muskets on their shoulders. Whenever they went off duty, many stole, got drunk, and chased women. Some also infuriated worshippers by purposely racing horses, beating drums, and gambling under church windows on Sundays. In March 1770, an angry mob of American rowdies started taunting 8 of King George's soldiers and pelting them with icy snowballs. Then someone threw a lump of wood at a redcoat and knocked him flat. The enraged troops began firing into the crowd, and 5 colonists were killed. Furious Sons of Liberty were quick to label this disaster as the Boston Massacre, and it stirred plenty of anger on both sides. Okay. Even so, an American jury later acquitted the British commanding officer of 6 of his men in a fair trial. 2 others were branded on their thumbs and dismissed from the army. Okay, so we know from reading that and from reading that article a few minutes ago that the Great Britain, their soldiers basically got away with killing the colonists, with killing some colonists, and that's really sad. So we're looking for what is similar and what is different between page 22 in the article we just read called Massacre in King Street. So we're looking for similarities and differences. So I'm going to do one with you, and then you're going to have to find more by yourself. You're going to have at least 5 in each column. There's a lot. Then you're going to answer this question. All right, so let's look about what is only in George versus George. I notice, I keep clicking on the wrong thing, and I am so sorry. I notice right here that these statements, let me highlight them for you. You coward, you dare not fire. You can't kill us all. Fire by God. I'll stand by you whilst I drop a drop of blood. I notice that these statements are included and that they are first-hand accounts. And if I go back to my article, there are no quotes in here. So one difference that's on page 22 is that, there are first-hand quotes such as, you can't kill us all. And that is on page 22. Okay. And then I also notice, if I go back to this story, if I go back to page 22, that it does tell about the Boston Massacre on this page. But if we go back and we look at our article that we read, the article gives more information about what happened in the Boston Massacre. So, article gives more information about what happened in the Boston Massacre. Okay, now what happened in both? Both, I noticed that up here it says that they were taunted by the British. The British soldiers have been taunted by Boston residents. And then if we go back, it says here that it says that an angry mob of Americans started taunting 8 of King George's soldiers and pelting them with icy snowballs. So both texts mentioned how they were taunted. Okay, so you have the first one done. So you have 4 more on each. You have to have 5 in each column. All right, this next question says, why is it important to read multiple accounts about the same event or topic? So far we read about the Boston Massacre in our book, in George versus George on page 22. And then we read about the Boston Massacre in the article Massacre in King Street. So why is it important to read 2 or more articles or books about a certain event or topic? Well, I think it's because you can get a better understanding of the whole situation, and you can gather more text evidence from when you are going to have to write about it. And it just helps you have a better understanding of what is going on. That's what I think. Okay, so you're going to fill out this chart and answer this question and then go on to your last